Do
you want to wait on Doug or just go ahead and start?
As soon as Julianne gives us the go ahead on the streaming that it's actually up and running, then we can start. And if it shuts down, we have to wait for that to reconnect again. So Julianne's gonna monitor that for us.
All right, everyone, we are live.
All right, so Anna, it looks like we can go ahead and start.
All right, we'll call the meeting to order at 5:32.
Okay. Do you want me to go ahead and jump in then?
Jump on in there.
Okay. So let me just start where, let you know where we are currently. We are working really hard on reopening plans for the library. I attended a KPL meeting 2 times this week, and then I've been working on our own document that's a little bit more specific to have some direction and guidelines for us. KPLA will be submitting a statewide plan for all libraries pretty soon. And that kind of gives us, so we won't have to submit our own, is my understanding. But I was going to have that specific plan for us so that we have a timeline. It's a way of communicating with board members and with our staff. So the governor did issue guidelines for May 11th that everybody that's out in public needs to wear masks. And so we're working on providing staff members with 2 reusable masks per person. And then they can supplement with that if they have other masks that they want to bring in. We also have some disposable masks that we can get by with if they forget one, that will be on hand. We're also working on implementing a health check. That's not something that we've been doing, as we've been able to social distance really, really well. And my staff has been basically told, you know what, if you've got a fever, cold, whatever, just don't come in, you know. So there's no fear of losing a job or being written up, sick leave is granted and things like that. So that hasn't been something, and there's only 10 of us and there's only 2 or 3 coming in the building. So we really haven't been stringent about that, but that is something that the state is going to require us to do from now on. So I've got the thermometers ordered, working on a procedure on how to do that every day, even if I'm not in the building. We are working on building and maintaining a 2-week supply of hand sanitizer, gloves, cleaning products, things like that. I ordered hand sanitizer clear back in March before we even closed down, and still have not received shipments for that. That is going to be problematic, I think. But I'm working on that. We're also working on procedures, signage, how is traffic going to flow? How many people can we handle in the building at a time? We hope to open up curbside delivery soon. My goal would be at the latest May 11th. It may be sooner than that. So does any of the board members have any questions about or any comments of where we're at right now? Okay. All right, so I'm going to attempt to share my screen with you guys. One thing that we also have to do before we can open up our computers and our circulation desk is we've got to have the protective guards. And so I've only been able to get 1 quote. This is from KPC. This is an architectural company that we worked with to do our teen furniture with. And so the guards are higher quality probably than I could get on Amazon. So they're expensive. So I'm going to share the costs with you right now, what I have on that. Let's see. Okay, so this is, can you guys see my screen? Okay. So this is, we're contemplating putting a freestanding guard at the front desk. Our circulation desk is pretty large, and it has some technology and wires and things that we cannot move. So I'm thinking that this freestanding type would be the best way to work around those wires. And this is just some pictures of it. And then for our computer carols, did I lose my picture? Oh, so this is the cubicle mounted bracket. So for our computer carols, we have 10 stations. So if I'm going to check and make sure this computer mounted bracket, or this cubicle mounted bracket will work with our wooden carol stations. And we can put these down the middle of it, of the carols, and then at the cross sections. So, and that opens up all 10 of our computer stations. If we don't do the cross sections, it saves us money, but we're not going to be able to have 10 stations. I think we can get 5 computers up and going and still have that 6-foot distance between patrons working on the computers. So if we want to open up 2 circulation desks, checkout desks, and I recommend that we don't use the sitting desk. I think we need to open up another standing desk, and we do have room to do that. To do that, just the circulation desk is $486. If we want to open up the computer carols to 5 computers, just putting the plexiglass down the middle to separate from side to side, it would be $727. If we wanted to open up all of the computers, you're going to add another $1,000 to that. Okay, so for total, it's going to be about $2,740 just for plexiglass.
Where's this quote coming from?
This is KPC. That's our architect company that did our teen furniture. It looks like it is quality work. What I could do is if you guys could authorize me to spend, I don't know, the amount of this quote, we could do it and say, okay, if I find something that's cheaper that I feel like is the same quality, then I could find something that's cheaper.
APC does library specific furniture all over the state and have a strong reputation. So it seems it's not cheap, but we've heard from other libraries that had things locally made that really were kind of in that same price range or more expensive. So the price actually, although it's a lot, is not out of scale with what we've seen other places.
I will say freight is not cheap. It's going to be about $500 to ship that stuff. And the freight they're estimating, this was last week, was 3 to 4 weeks. And everybody's trying to get it. And so I am guessing 4 to 6 weeks, just give or take a week or 2.
If you're interested in another quote, Super ATV in Madison is creating barriers they've retooled their equipment to make it. They actually approached us at the shop about making one for our retail desk.
Okay. And I would love to.
They are a super awesome company locally who employ a lot of local people. And
Oh wow!
If you can get a quote from them, that would be great. And I don't know if it's the same, high quality as this, but I do know they're an awesome company that's doing everything they can to keep their employees busy. So
I would love to support
local.
Getting a quote. And you said ATV?
Super ATV in Madison. They've done all of the guards for like Lowe's and I think Aldi's and a lot of the local stores. They're making these for these companies, custom to what you need.
And you would save on the freight.
And you would save on the freight. And you might get done quicker, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because
they
would deliver them and put them up.
I don't think there's any reason to assume that those would not be as good as the ones from KPC. I mean, it's just plexiglass and something to hold it upright. The ones that we saw that were made for Pulaski County, they were very similar. And it's just having that plastic wall there. So I think if you can get them locally, go for it. If it's the same price and if it's faster or cheaper or whatever, then so much the better. But I think that sounds like a great option.
They might have a different way of installation rather than those brackets too for the carols that might be cheaper. So I would gladly reach out to them or any other vendor you guys think that could help us. But it would be helpful though if I could get authorization to spend that money, or else we have to have another special meeting. And
Would you like
Can
a
I-
quote up to this amount?
yeah, that would be great.
Approval up to this amount to,
I have a question.
Mhm.
How likely is it that you think you'll need all 10 computers? My concern is that, people are going to be desperate to be applying for jobs, creating applications, applying for unemployment, whatever, and that trying to go with 5 computers might have a lot of unhappy people that are really leaning on you to let them use everything that's there.
That's why I said with the, this is actually a quote that includes everything. It's all 10
And
computers.
that's your preferred option?
That would be my preferred option. We also have 6 laptops that we can station around the library, so that we would have 16 computers available. The problem is the laptops do not, we don't have mobile printing. And so to print, yeah, it's a little bit tricky. So a little bit more difficult. So.
Sounds like a good plan.
I would suggest we do all 10.
Yeah.
If we're gonna do it, I think we need to do all 10, this quote here.
Well, and I think that this is we're gonna have to keep them up for quite a while. And I want something that looks good and is
Yeah.
gonna be sturdy, so.
make a motion to give Dina the green light to accept a bid for partitions up to the amount quoted by KPC.
I'll make the motion.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Hey, Doug.
Hey, Doug,
Hey, Doug.
Hello. Sorry, I'm late.
that's all right. Good to see you. Okay.
As far as the printing on those laptops you were talking about, would it work just to load it on a thumb drive and do it that way at the printer?
Yes, we can. We can do that way. It's not impossible to do that. And we've got several ways that we can print off of a laptop or a mobile device. So
Okay, it's just not as easy as the others.
no, it's not as easy, but it's doable.
Okay,
Could I, just for my notes, could I have the motion was made by,
Michelle,
okay,
Michelle,
and seconded by,
Pam.
Pam,
okay, and I'll already.
Yes.
I'm gonna do 2 things here at once. Okay, so that leads me to the next part. You know what? We've really just racked our brains with what to do with staff. We've really tried hard to keep them busy and make sure that we're doing, still serving our community and doing good things there. Because I don't want to waste taxpayers' money. I definitely don't want to do, but I also don't want to give staff menial tasks that don't really amount to things that none of us like to stay busy just to stay busy. There's only so many webinars you can do, only so much cleaning you can do, and then you run out of things to do. And we've ran out of Hunter and Kalani have been working on cataloging project. They just finished that this week, and we're struggling to find them things to do. And as well as a few other staff members. Also trying to finalize a budget for next year. It's very unclear what, have not heard from the tax assessor yet, so it's unclear what property values are going to be this year. From an economics webinar that I sat in, it's in Northern Kentucky and possibly statewide, they're expecting a 35% reduction in car sales, which would decrease our motor vehicle tax income. We bring into about $50,000, $60,000 a year for that. Of course, there's going to be a decrease in franchise tax. Luckily, most of our income probably does not come from like restaurants or things like that. We have some pretty solid businesses in our community, which it sounds like they're continuing to work. So I don't know that we'll see a huge decrease in franchise taxes. State aid, as far as last time I heard, is not on the table. We will not be getting about the $12,000 from the state to help out. Is that still correct, Chris?
Yes, it's gone for this year. There's hope that Beth has hope that it might somehow come back next year, or at some point, but yeah, it will not be happening.
So our new accountant, Kelly Gamble, I talked with him to see what he thought about next year and how to budget. And he suggested preparing two budgets, one where kind of a flat budget where you're not going to see much difference. And except for the state, we're not going to have the state income this year. And then he also suggested preparing a 10% cut in income. So for us, that's going to be between $60,000 and $70,000, which I feel like we already are pretty frugal and really try to keep things down to a minimum already. So that cutting that $60,000 to $70,000 is going to be really hard without cutting staff hours. I really do not want to let anybody go. I love all my staff members. I think they're all great, and I think they can still contribute in some way. I shared a document with you guys regarding if we decided to do a work share program with Kentucky. They will allow us to reduce employee hours. I believe it is anywhere from 10 to 60%. Is that correct, Chris?
Yes, that's what we were told at our meeting last Friday.
Okay, so we can reduce employee hours 10 to 50%. They would qualify for unemployment. Now, if they had to survive or make ends meet just on unemployment, they would be taking a huge pay cut. But because of the federal government is offering the $600 a month or week with the CARES Act, the staff members would be taken care of if we reduce their hours. Okay. And when I sent out the meeting notes last week, I was under the impression that our part-time staff members would not qualify for that. Under the website that I was checking in the calculator, it said that they didn't make enough money in the quarter to qualify. But through several meetings with KDLA and talking with Keiko, it looks like those guidelines have been waived. And so our part-time staff members would qualify for the work share program as well as full-time. That being said, even with the governor's statements of, opening up the economy, or trying to open up the economy and sending us dates, I do not see us being able to offer full library services in the next 4 to 6 weeks. First of all, we don't have the cleaning supplies that are hard to get. We're still don't have enough sanitizer. We don't have our the protective guards up, and we're still working on signage and everything for that. So even though he's saying, yeah, you could possibly open up and have small groups of people in the building, we're still not prepared for that yet. And honestly, even if we were able to have, up to 10 people in the building, 3 of those people will be counted as my staff members. And so it's about 7 people in the building, and they would still have limited access to the books and everything. So having 3 staff members on hand is going to be more than enough people to handle the number of people in the building, hopefully that makes sense.
Dina, how are you calculating the number of people that will fit in your building?
Well, recommendations, I think, has been 5 people for 1,000 square feet. We're still closing off. What's that?
Wouldn't that be like 60 people? I thought your building was 12,000 square feet.
It's about 10, but right now we have our meeting room it's still our quarantine station.
Oh, okay.
We would probably still have our children's library mostly blocked off, at least for this first couple of weeks. I don't think it's just because we're open.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. So we're going to still
I
have
understand.
seating areas are going to be blocked off for a little while. In fact, they recommend that those be put in storage and people don't come in and sit and stay for 2 hours. Does that make sense? They still recommend that, okay, yes, people can come in, but their time on the computer is limited. We're still trying to figure out, do we give them access to our stacks? Do we let people come in and touch every book and then put it back? You know, I know that they do that in grocery stores, but I don't know. We're still making those decisions on a local level. So, and that's where the opening plan is coming in. So.
And
So in
we're
theory,
sure-
the only thing they would be coming in to use is the computers.
When we open up, they could come in and use computers, do printing and faxing, which that has been really hard for people not to have access to. And staff members could pull books from the stacks. They could make suggestions, or we could help them look at the OPAC and get books from that. And then I would think that staff members could pull the books, check them out, and help them get out, at least for right now. I don't think it's wise to just open up the whole library and say, please come in. We did have a little situation a couple days ago where we thought we might have been exposed, and we had to shut the library down for a day or two just to clear things out. And so even though we have permission to go, let's go forward, there's still that, caution that has to be made, and still a lot of cleaning and sanitizing. We just need to make sure that we're prepared for that. So.
Can I jump in for a second? What Dina is describing, we're talking about this a lot on the director's list, and Dina's been asking a lot of great questions to our group and participating and helping to figure all this out. What she's suggesting is very much in line with what everybody's thinking across the state about how to do this. So, she's really being very prudent and trying to figure out how to safely reopen without putting staff or your community or anybody in your community in danger.
And we're sure that they can get the $600 a week if they're not working. If they're drawing unemployment, they can still get the $600 a week.
Yes, that is my understanding. It's available. I think the last day to apply for that is June 30, the end of June, I think. And that $600 is available through the end of July 31st. So I've talked to my staff about there is going to be a wait before that money comes in. Thankfully, they'll still be getting a little bit of money from the library, and they get paid every 2 weeks for that. So I know we're struggling. Some of the parents are trying to work 40 hours a weekend, take care of kids' school. They're really struggling. Thank heavens we only have 2 or 3 more weeks of school. But then we have daycare through the summer. That's going to be an issue. And how do we keep our kids busy that way? Last year was wonderful. And our kids came in and they did the programs with us, and it was great. But this year, that's no family members or kids are allowed in the building, as far as back in the staff. And if they did come in the building, it'd be through the front door, and they'd have to count as the number of people in the building. So it's just going to be looking different this year. So, and I don't know. I sent the document out, the emergency furlough and reduction of hours policy. I talked to Crystal Hines about that, and she said everything looked fine to her. She didn't see any problems. I did look over, Pam had a question about it. She was worried about the part-time, the amount of vacation time and sick leave that full-time staff would accrue. And I did change that to 4 hours of vacation time and 4 hours of sick leave per month rather than per 20 hours worked, 20 hours worked. That was not, I'm glad she caught that because that's not what I meant. It was supposed to be 4 hours of vacation time and 4 hours sick per month. And that would be half of what they are accruing right now. So she did, thanks for the clarification on that. But this document basically gives me the ability to either, reduce hours or furlough people without having a special meeting to do that. And it gives me the ability to call people back quickly to work if we need them, without a special meeting to be called. So where are you at with everything, Michelle?
Dina, I am just gonna say, Chris has verified that you're doing top-notch work and you've done the research, and I'm for whatever you think is best. And I've looked at it all, and if I'm voting yes, that whatever you need is what we need to give you.
You've done a great job taking care of the employees and elaborate at the same time. It's great.
I had another thought about budget. I'm sorry to go back. You're talking about preparing 2 budgets that could be looked at in May and then one would be picked in June. I think what I've recommended to people is that you lean toward, I think it's good to do a couple of budgets just as a starting for your planning, but I would lean more towards maybe assuming there's going to be a 10% reduction in your tax income. Because even though property values shouldn't really be affected by this, because that's a slower clock on how fast that changes, there may be less ability for people to pay their taxes. So typically your real estate tax income is not horribly affected, but in a situation like this, it wouldn't be surprising to see people who all is able to pay their property taxes could go down. So I think it might be better to try and be a little bit prepared for having less income. And then you can always adapt your budget if things somehow are going a lot better, or if they're going not as well as we'd hoped. You can always adapt it. But I think it'd be good to be prepared for the fact that even your real estate income could be down.
So that's, and that's where I started thinking, gosh, maybe it's best to lay off employees now when they can get the extra help from the CARES payment, rather than wait to the end of the year when we're in budget. We have, we're really short on budget, and we don't know where this is going. So right now, when we know that we're just struggling to keep staff members busy, maybe we can get that extra help that we need from the government and take care of our staff members, but also take care of the library budget too, where there might be a shortfall for next year. So
I would rather see somebody laid off and not have to get rid of anybody and not have to decrease their salaries. For sure. I hate to see anybody have to take a cut in pay.
I appreciate that, because that's my sentiment as well. How about you, Hannah? How about you?
Agreed. Definitely.
Pam, where are you sitting with us?
Well, I don't know that I'm fully understanding. If we do the work, they all going to be qualified for this work share program or not?
It is my understanding, yes, that the information has changed from the notes that I sent out from last week. The employment calculator I was using before I sent out these notes indicated that our part-time staff members didn't make enough money to qualify for unemployment, but that was under the old guidelines. Those guidelines have since been waived. And so yes, we would be able to work our part-time workers 10 hours a week and they would still qualify for unemployment. And I talked to most of them, and all of them are just saying, yes, we would rather still continue to work, keep our skills up, and be included in staff meetings and know what's going on, rather than just have nothing and then come back and have to start running from the, from the start and not be up to date on where everything is. So I just,
Okay.
so.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
quite,
that's- I mean-
I was quite surprised as well. Even the substitute teachers at the school district qualify for the CARE Act money coming in. And, of course, the rules had to be waived for that because that's just unheard of, really.
Now that is, I know that there's going to be a wait for our staff, and we've talked about that. That will be the hardest part for that.
You have a time that you've been given for that?
Well, you know what? I've heard things from people that they've had a 2 or 3 week wait and they've gotten their check, and I've heard people that are still waiting for their checks and they applied in March. So
Are we talking about just the regular unemployment now, right?
yes, unemployment. I don't know what the wait time is.
My
on that.
my son-in-law's been off almost a month and he has not received anything yet.
See, and that's,
However, when I did mine, I mean, I got mine within 2 weeks. So I don't know what the difference was. Probably that mine's such a small amount, but nonetheless, he hasn't gotten his in almost a month. So, and they can't get him to answer the phones or anybody to speak with or anybody to answer questions. So that won't be an easy thing for them to do.
well, I will just
But,
say that,
yeah.
that my staff will not go, they will be taken care of. So, I mean, they're
Yeah,
not, the
I
lights are not
understand
going to be shut off. They're going to have food. They're not going to lose their homes. We're going to do what we can to keep them busy and to
Right.
keep them things taken care of. So, I just don't see that happening. I know we might have to wait and things might get uncomfortable, but
I'm 100% for the proposed activity.
okay.
We have a motion to accept the emergency policy.
I make a motion.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Trying to think if there's anything else that we need to talk about tonight. Just to make sure I have this. Doug, did you make a motion?
Sorry?
Doug, did you make a
It was
motion?
Doug.
I
Okay.
make a motion.
I'm sorry.
Michelle.
Michelle. Okay. All we're in favor. Okay.
Mhm.
I just want to say I'm so proud of my staff. They're working so hard and trying new things and trying to serve our people in our community, and very grateful for them and putting up with me. The last 2 weeks it's been very stressful and a little bit short at times, but they've been willing to help out and pitch in wherever needed. So, and they've, while this is hard, thinking, oh, we got to step back and maybe reduce hours. There were some tears and some, definitely some anxiety about it, but we've all talked this through and thought that this is probably the best way to go forward for them right now, for their mental health, with it, especially those taking care of kids, and also to protect the library and make sure that we're going in a good direction for the library next year. So
Thank you for all your hard work. This is not easy.
it's not, decision making is tough right now for everybody, especially when information changes on a daily basis. But I appreciate your guys' support. You guys are been wonderful, and the library is grateful to have you, and so grateful for your service. So let me know if there's anything that I need to be doing differently, or if you have vendors. Doug's been very great to suggest some vendors for medical supplies and things like that. So I'm working a little bit on that end. So I appreciate that. I don't think I have anything else at this time. Does anybody else?
What is the best way to be in touch with individual staff members? Is this just through the email?
Individual staff members, yes, they should be checking their email every day. And we do have a couple of work phones. I can get you their work phone numbers. They're basically mostly using those for hotspots right now, but I could probably send some. Is there somebody that you need to get a hold of, Doug?
I was just wanting to get a hold of Jackie. I called the library today a couple times, or maybe it was yesterday and this morning, and didn't get an answer. So I didn't realize that no one was there to answer.
That's okay. I'll forward her email to you. We've also had, our phone line has been down for 3 days too. Yes, and that is not our end this time. It's been Spectrum, and that Spectrum has had us down. So we finally, Julianne worked hard to get that finally up and going this afternoon. So I appreciate her help with that. So Betsy, she did the chat thing. I don't know if thank you, board members. We appreciate all of you. I won't say my own name, but and then Michelle says we appreciate everything all the employees are doing to make our library a great asset to our community. So, and I tell my staff members all the time, I said, you guys are board members, they're mindful of you. They want to take care of you, and they have your best interest at heart when I communicate after our board meetings. And I believe that, and I'm so grateful for that, because I hear about other board members or boards in our library boards in our state, and I'm not going to call anybody out, but I don't know that they're able to or have the mindset that their library workers are a great asset, and they're running it more like a business. And the dollar is the bottom line, and this is what's important. So money is important. Taxpayer money is important as well, but our staff, they are assets, and they are what makes our library great. So, and I appreciate your support.
I see the library in our community as one of the major assets. Of course, we have the industry, what we have here, but in the county. But I see the library as a tremendous asset, and people that run it are assets as well. So they're valuable.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you, Chris, for coming tonight.
Sure thing. Glad to be here.
Dina, I just have one more thing to point out that doesn't have anything to do with this actual big meeting here. It's just on the policy that you sent out.
Okay.
So on the very first page under section 1, you have that in front of you. The director will continue to apply a personnel, I think, handbook instead of personal.
Okay,
policies.
do I have a spelling error there? Okay.
I'm sorry.
I have a spelling error there.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
all.
All right.
I'm sorry. I just see these things. So
Thank
Thank
you.
goodness for good editors.
I should have ran that by, I should have had Betsy edit it for me. She usually catches those things for me, but
Catch it. Sorry.
that's all right. Hi, Crystal. How are you doing?
I'm good. I thought it looked great, so I'm glad she got that.
So I told them on your behalf, I said, you said that you didn't have a problem with it, but if you want to chime in and just with the policy, they already approved it, but.
Yes, I was listening in. I apologize for being a few minutes late. When you have kids and they're hyper, it's just difficult. So, but no, I listened to everything when I came in and you all started talking about the furlough. So I'm very happy that the board considered that and the motion was made and accepted to do that. I think it's great. It's great for our community, and these people are important, and these people know the job, and I look forward to seeing those faces when I do come in there. So I think it's a good thing. So I'm appreciative, even though I'm no longer on the board and I don't work at the library. I do work for the library when I'm asked to, but I think it's a huge asset, just like Mr. Salisbury. So I'm appreciative of you all.
Thanks, Crystal. I didn't see your little window pop up there, so I got a, you were hidden, so I didn't realize you were here. So I apologize for not recognizing you.
I need to be hidden. This quarantine doesn't look good on me.
Yeah, I agree with that. I've had a lot of meetings with no video, that's for sure. So is there any other questions that we need to attend to, or any spelling errors that I need to take care of?
No. No, I'm through nitpicking it.
I'm so happy you did, Pam, because we sort out little errors and things and that way, so it's good.
Make a
Anna,
motion
do
to adjourn. All in favor? Or sorry, somebody needs a second.
Aye.
Oh. Did somebody make an emotion?
My motion to adjourn.
Hannah, did-
I'll second.
Thank you, Michelle.
okay.
All in favor?
Michelle second. I don't.
Aye.
Aye.